Hello and welcome to another YouTube video. Today's a really hot day, it's about 30 degrees, so just for fun I'm going to do a sound test on the Meaco fans that I have. One of them is right behind me, which is the latest model, the Meaco Sefte. I'm going to compare it against the older Meaco model, the 1560, and just for even more fun we're going to test it against a cheap pedestal fan that I got from Lidl. Let's get to it. Okay, here we are with the new Sefte fan. So what we're going to do is measure the ambient room noise. 47 decibels. And then we're going to go through the 12 ranges of the fan. So this is starting off on the lower settings, so it goes from 1 to 12. This is volume number 1, and I'm just standing a few feet away from the fan. Goes slightly higher to about 52 decibels. Let's bump it up to 3. That's about 55 decibels. Let's bump it up halfway to number 6. That's about 59 decibels. Let's bump it up again. Let's do it 3/4 to level number 9. That's about 73 decibels. Let's bump it all the way to number 12. That's about 80 decibels. So there we have the fan noise for the Meaco Sefte. So let's do the sound test on the older Meaco model, the 1056. The ambient room noise is 45 decibels. So let's go through the fan speeds. We have 12 speeds. Let's start off at 1. And I'm standing a few feet away from the fan. It's about 58 decibels. Let's knock it up to 3. That seems to be hovering around the 54, 59, 60 decibels, so not much in it. From the first fan speed number 1, let's go up to 6. Again, I think the highest there was about 59, 60, so 63 there. Let's knock it up to number 9, so this is 3/4 of the way. Sort of 76 there at its peak. Yeah, about 70. 69, 70. Okay, let's go up to the top. 12 out of 12. This is the maximum. $783. I saw there 86. Probably the high 70s, 76, another 83. Okay, so it does hit around the 80s. So that is your fan speed test. So I have the sound monitor here, which measures in decibels. So the ambient room noise is about 45 decibels. Now let's start off on number 1. I would say that's about 80 decibels on average. Let's turn on the backlight. Let's go number 2. That's about 87 decibels, and this is the maximum. Okay, that did hit 90, and that was because you can hear the clattering, so you know the build quality of this isn't great, and that rattling noise can be annoying. So the actual whirring itself, there's not much change between level 2 and number 3, but it's probably the cheap quality make of it, you know, how it's built, how well it's built together. You know, that rattling noise can get really annoying. So now that we have done the fan noise test, let's just summarise our findings. So what we've found is that there actually isn't much difference between the Meaco 1056 fan and the newer Sefte model. So the lowest fan noise is around about 60 decibels at its lowest setting, which is 1 out of 12, and the highest peak noise is about 80 decibels, which is number 12 out of 12. So pretty much exactly the same. So in terms of fan noise, it doesn't really matter which one you go for. In comparison to the cheapest Benross fan, which I bought from Lidl for about 25 or 30 pounds, that does have the loudest fan noise at around 90 decibels. So just to put it into perspective, 90 decibels is the equivalent of a drum bass, and 80 decibels is the equivalent of a loud radio. So let's just have a look at the claimed noise levels. So on the Meaco website, the accredited noise mentions it's just 29 decibels. Well, in my readings, that came up as around about 60 decibels. So quite a bit of difference. In fact, that's double the noise level of the claimed noise level. So I don't know, maybe perhaps I was sitting too near fan. I was sitting a couple of feet, probably about, I would say 5 feet away from the fan when I did the noise test, but in practice that would be pretty much how far I would be sitting away from the fan. You know, I'd have the fan perched up on the desk next to me whilst I'm working. So yeah, I would say my tests are kind of real world. So I'm a bit dubious about this 29 decibels. I would just be a bit wary of that. So let's compare that against the newer fan. So if we have a look at the Sefte model, that one doesn't have a claimed fan noise speed, but in my tests they are identical to each other, the Sefte and the 1056 model. So it doesn't really matter which one you go for, both about the same. Now, actually, I'm not quite surprised by this, but this is due back in stock in 2026. So it's actually sold out for the rest of this year. But yeah, I'm not surprised because we're coming on to our 4th heat wave of this year. We've had one in few in June, a few in July, coming into August now. So yeah, not surprised at all. In terms of price, if we have a look at the price here now, so both are £99.99 for the older 1050s model and the newer Sefte model. I'm quite surprised by that because the 1056 has been out for, well, I've had mine for about 3 years, so over 3 years, and the Sefte model has come out, I think this is in its second year, so I'm not sure why the older model's not been reduced in price. Maybe it's to keep up with demand, seeing as the Sefte model has sold out for the rest of this year. But yeah, in terms of price, both exactly the same. If we look at the Benross model, that's £25 to £30. Yeah, that's cheap for a reason, because the peak noise level for that is 90 decibels. So you're paying considerably more actually for the quieter fans. And also these Meaco fans are more aesthetically pleasing. So I've got no qualms about having one of these fans sat in the corner of my room, just whirring away quietly in the background whilst I'm working from home. In fact, I'd probably pay more, than the Benross. I'd happily pay £99.99 for these fans, because the last thing you want is to feel hot and sticky while you're working at home, or if you're having a power nap, or if it's in the children's bedroom. So yeah, you're paying probably 3 times the price, but I think you're more than getting 3 times the benefit from the Meaco fans. For the heat wave, so if we're coming on to our 4th heat wave of the year, let's say typical heat wave lasts for about 5 days, so about 20 days per year. Would you pay £99.99 to work in comfort? Yeah, I would, especially as we're entering more heat waves. I've had my 1056 model for 3 years now, still going strong. So on average, I've paid about £30 a year, and that average cost is going to lessen and lessen within each year. So yeah, I would gladly pay the extra bit of money for the Meaco fans. So I hope you've enjoyed that summary, and yeah, whichever fan you go for, good luck with it.